Foreign ministers from around 70 countries are here in London to discuss Afghanistan. 9 years on from the invasion, it's apparent that NATO's strategy hasn't worked, and so discussions here are focusing on a shift in tactics and a possible change in long-term objectives. It opened with contributions from key players in the conflict. British Prime Minister Gordon Brown said the West's strategy was to now boost Afghan security forces while implementing a surge in foreign troops. Afghan forces will total 300,000 by October next year. The Afghan government, meanwhile, has garnered substantial support for its National Reconciliation Plan, which will see it try to win over Taliban members by offering them money and jobs, although the strategy itself isn't proving popular amongst ordinary Afghans. The US and its allies invaded Afghanistan in 2001 under the pretext of rooting out the Taliban. However, they are now approving of the reintegration plan to bring them into the democratic process of the country, but have warned that it can only work if Afghanistan's security forces are strong enough to take over control of the nation for themselves. That could take from 10 to 15 years, according to Afghan President Hamid Karzai.
Security in Afghanistan needs a broader, more comprehensive approach towards security in the region and the causes that give rise to insecurity.
Prior to her assassination, the late Pakistani political leader Benazir Bhutto told the BBC that the US and its allies had played a significant role in supporting the formation and growth of the Taliban. Today, the Taliban have responded to calls for talks by restating their previous demands that no negotiations can take place with Kabul until foreign forces have left the country. But one of the biggest problems in the country remains widespread corruption amongst the authorities. Karzai is to produce detailed proposals to deal with it, but this is not the first time he's talked of doing so, and many in Afghanistan remain skeptical over how strong the president's political will really is in dealing with the problem. Outside the conference, British protesters called for their troops to return home immediately and argued that NATO's presence in Afghanistan was exacerbating the country's problems.
A country under military occupation by foreign invading forces is bound to be unstable, and is also bound to freeze any internal political developments that could resolve the crisis in the country.
President Hamid Karzai has lost a significant amount of legitimacy in the eyes of many Afghans following allegations of fraud during last year's presidential elections. But for the moment, NATO still sees him as a viable partner and is keen to help keep his government afloat. There are doubts, however, over how sustainable that strategy is. Hassan Ghani, PressTV, London.